there is a new statistic. So we are almost a year old. September will be us doing this for 1 year. Last September, when we began these conversations, the statistic was 72 million families estranged in the United States alone. Well, it is now, less than a year later, 85 million. So how did we go from 72 million to 85 million in less than a year? What does that mean? What is that telling us? What do we do with that? Aleia and Dr. Ruth, you guys want to jump in? What's your take on that?
It's just crazy to think about that, because it's, yeah, it just feels like communication and relationships are getting harder and harder to maintain. And like, why is that? Why are people just, it's just kind of curious what is happening, just because I'm choosing to do the opposite, right? I'm choosing to like have a relationship with my mom, and like what's going on with the children coming up? Is it just not as like common, or what has people estranging?
So a few months ago, Aleia, and you mentioned that you were done with your mom and you wanted to estrange her again.
Mm-hmm.
What changed with you? What was going on in your life that you were like, no, I'm done, to now choosing to have your mom in your life?
I think it was just more of a reality check. I think I was letting a lot of things get to me at that point, where it was just, I was letting her get under my skin again, no matter what she would say. And I I think I just had to take a moment, a couple weeks off of answering her phone calls all the time and checking in on her, to just taking a moment to myself and just like having a breather, and knowing that it is my choice to have her in my life, and that I want to have a relationship with her. It's not the fact that like I don't love her or anything like that. It's just the fact that I have to remember that she's important to me, and she did a lot for me, and I know she's going through a hard time, right? It's like she is getting older and she's not able to take care of herself like she used to, and she's having a hard time with the transition she's going through. And it's not about me, it's just about what she is going through too. And so I think I had to do a little self-reflection and understand where she is at in her life, and now she's having trouble remembering things, and just like it's like she's going through a huge loss in her life in this transition. And so I think I was holding her accountable for so many things, where she feels like she's losing control. So I think I just needed a moment to understand where she was at in her life, instead of getting frustrated with how she was treating me.
All right. So Dr. Ruth, why is Aleia able to do this, but 85 million of her peers cannot?
I was actually just wondering about that too. I don't know. I think Aleia, she's very mature for one thing, and she doesn't get caught up in the social media and look for ways to validate that negativity. I think that's a big difference too. I think the numbers have increased because social media has just allowed for groups that just speed the negativity, and they don't provide anything about healing relationships. And well, that's not true. I mean, there are groups probably about that, but I think therapists too maybe aren't trained in how to deal with estrangement. And in grad school, we have courses that we learn about family systems and things like that, but never, when I was going through my courses, was there anything about estrangement. And in my internship and practicums, and there was just nothing like that. So I think there's a lot of people out there in the profession that are not equipped to handle what to do. And think it's a lot of things, but
And at the volume that it's happening too
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
It's like the easy answer, right? Oh, just don't talk to them. And that's like the easier way to go and the easy out rather than healing the wounds and understanding what's causing it. Because I think, like, even if I reflect back to when I was a teacher and those relationships, any type of relationship takes work, and it's easy to blame and point the finger at the other person. And so it just feels like a lot of us are taking the easy way out. If that's the number that we see, I feel like that is the easy way out, because it was so easy. I had a like riff with another teacher and I felt like it was her fault because she wasn't listening to me, or she didn't see me as an authoritative figure when I stepped into the role of being a director. And so I just pointed the finger, and luckily I had other directors to help me with that. It's like, well, have you taken a walk in her shoes? Have you ever tried to talk to her? And I hadn't. I just like completely blamed it on her. I hadn't taken the time to like understand that person because we were so different. And so I'm just wondering if it's just like people just choose to not walk in other people's shoes anymore. It's just like it's my way or the highway, or just kind of feels like there's no perspective of the other person. Because when I finally did, I finally understood, like, oh, there are some things that I can work on if I look at myself in the mirror. It's like, are we too scared to even look in the mirror anymore? Take that responsibility for our own actions.
It's easier just to point the finger and the blame at somebody else than take a hard look at ourselves. It's very difficult.
I think that you reminded me too yesterday. You said when you have your feet in shame, you point to blame or something. I don't know if I'm saying it like you did, but that really stuck with me yesterday. That reminder too about because I think about the people that are estranged and not making attempts to reconcile about what's happening in their lives, that they feel shame and can't look at themselves. But it, like Aleia said, it's just easier to point the finger and blame somebody else.
And I think that's what we all really got caught up in. I think that's why we're seeing this 72 million to 85 million, because I think we're all hurting. I think we're all in so much pain. And instead of standing with our feet in the fire sometimes and saying, what is this about? Or do I have control over this? Or is the story I'm even telling myself true? We're not doing that. We're not spending that time to go within. We're just consuming anything that's in front of us, that's the internet, the groups that we're in, the supportive groups, they're primarily negative. They're saying, here's what's at fault. The internet's at fault. Our kids are at fault. And we're just getting a steady dose of that the longer we subscribe to it. And I'm in contact with my daughter again. The feeling is absolutely glorious. Somebody asked me how long it's been. I don't even know, because I haven't been sitting around checking the days off the calendar that she hasn't been in my life. I think about her every single day. That never stopped. But in so many ways, this estrangement has been a gift. And that's what our community goes into, is, finding the meaning. Viktor Frankl's book about surviving Auschwitz, a man's search for meaning. Those who found meaning survived Auschwitz. And in difficult times, that's what we have to do. We always have to reflect and go within and find the meaning. And it's not comfortable. It's never a comfortable process.
Yep. Got to have the desire to do that, and the motivation and discipline. And there's a lot to it. Yeah. To make it happen.
And when you're sick and tired of feeling the way you do, you finally decide to do something about it. You're like, I can't live this way anymore. It's either I commit suicide and end the pain, or I do something to change this. It just has to get so uncomfortable.